There they are. And it's not just me. Anybody that wants to talk. And tell them. That's right. That's right. Say something to them. Because tomorrow night it'll just be Ty and Katie giving the toast. So, anyway. So, Hannah. Thank you for making me a mommy. My firstborn. I love you. I'm so excited for this day. But Ashton, I never told you this, but when y'all were in high school, I actually remember meeting you.
Really?
I do. And there was a bunch of people, and I remember looking at Hannah. There's something stood out to me about you. And I looked at Hannah and I said, who is that? And she told me, Ashton Chronister. And I said, well, do y'all talk? And she's like, She's like, no. I said, okay. But what's so funny, I remembered your name because, this is funny, when I was little, when I played with baby dolls, one of them was always named Ashton. No lie. So I was like, I always loved that name, and I've always loved Blaine. That's so funny. When I found out your middle name, I was like, oh my goodness. Anyway, but I just thought it was neat that something about you stood out to me, even back then. And anyway, when Hannah moved to Russellville for that semester and y'all decided to kind of not have a long distance relationship, Hannah was having a bad week. Hannah was having a bad, Hannah didn't decide it, but Hannah was having a bad week one week, and so I drove and got her, and we went up to Mount Nebo and drove around and sat out and talked. And anyway, we were just talking and sharing, and she said, a couple of different guys have asked me out. And anyway, I said, okay. I said, well, tell me about them. And she's like, yeah, she did. And I said, well, are you going to go? And she goes, no. And I said, well, what's going on? And she just said, I love Ashton, Mom. Anyway, so, we were like, okay, and she goes, man, we broke up, So I just told her, I said, I'm going to pray, you pray, and this sounds weird, but I said, I'm not going to pray that y'all get back together. I said, I'm going to pray that if it's God's will for your lives, that He'll draw your hearts back together. And if He doesn't, that you'd both know that it's not meant to be. And then, and I encouraged Hannah to pray that way. And then, before long. So that's how I prayed for y'all, that if you were supposed to be together, that God would draw your hearts. And Ashton, we love you so much. I'm so glad we're gaining a son and not losing a daughter. We love y'all. We love your family. I love the way y'all have embraced Hannah. That's so important to me as a mom, that y'all love her. And that their whole family does. And we love Ashton. I love you. Congratulations.
Okay, now.
I'm good.
Who else wants to talk? Anybody want to talk?
I think it's your turn.
It's my turn? It's my turn? Okay, well, I don't buy that we're not losing a daughter, we're gaining a son thing, because I bought into that with Hayden and Katie, but I never see Hayden anymore. He was always, when he was wanting to date Katie and that kind of stuff, he was always coming over and helping, and we were always doing something together. The day I'm married, I don't see him ever. So, I'm already hardened about that. I know that ain't gonna happen. So, anyways, yeah, we had to burn off a few guys, and I think we got a good guy here. So. But I do have my speech prepared. Hey, I know I have a speech for prepared. I actually do have some things. I was going to start with the beginning with Hannah, because she's our first, and after you've had 4 girls and then we have a foster daughter in the house, you're kind of like, nothing's new anymore. But Hannah was the first one to kind of set all the rules and break all the rules and make all the mistakes, and we were kind of tough on her. But I remember when we brought her home. She was born in August something. 15. No, I know. It was a brutal hot day. it was like a furnace when we took her out of the hospital. And I still remember the hot, scalding air coming through the door when we were wheeling her mom out and loading them into the car. And
I'm sure it was horrible for you.
it was tough. Gay had a long delivery, and we still had the videotape. Y'all know what videotape is, right? Okay. Yeah. Yes. And there was a lot of screaming, gnashing of teeth. Yeah, it was. And then she, I think, had pain too. I'm not sure, but it was pretty icky. So then, Hannah and I had a special bond, not just because daddy-daughter, but because she was sickly a lot. And it was odd. We didn't know what was wrong with Hannah. She was in the hospital or the doctor's office 22 times her first year. She was always having problems keeping food down. She wasn't sleeping good. And it was really scary for us. And we had to have this test done. And the doctor said this test is to determine if she has cystic fibrosis. And if she doesn't have cystic fibrosis, then she has asthma. So it's kind of strange that we were praying, Lord, let it be asthma, let her be sick with asthma. And sure enough, that's what it was. It's called a sweat chloride test. It was a long 6-hour test that she had to do. And it was very, very stressful, for new parents to go through that. But even though we knew what it was now, and it was tied also to allergies to food, she was allergic to eggs, milk, wheat. So anything that little kids put in their mouth at that age, or even parents would eat. If Gay ate anything, Hannah couldn't hold down her milk, and so it was bad. But in order to get her to sleep, we would either have to drive around town, or I'd have to hold her, and I would hold her on my arm like this, and her head would be over here, and we'd just walk around. I bet I walked several hundred hours, wouldn't you think? And just walking around. Yeah. And then at night, if she woke up, I could sleep anywhere. Gay, it takes a while for her to fall asleep, but me, I was in the Army, so if we were in a truck driving somewhere, we'd fall asleep while we were sitting in the back of the deuce and a half or the 5-ton truck that we were in. So we'd grab sleep whenever we could. So with Hannah, I would just lay her on my chest and snuggle up on the couch and lay and wedge her in here, and we'd sleep all night. I mean, so we kind of developed a closeness, and not that I'm not close and don't love my other children, it's just unique. One of the first things Gay asked me to do for Hannah was to clip her fingernails when they got long. And you would think that'd be pretty simple. I've been cutting my own fingernails for years, and I got hold of the tip of her finger and I cut her finger. And I mean, it killed me, man. It killed me. So I've never clipped any of my other children's fingernails, toenails, anything. And we've been very fortunate that we've never had any stitches, or we've had a few odd things. I mean, Lydia stuck all kinds of things in nose and ears.
Thanks, Dad.
We'll talk about that in a few more years. Oh yeah, we had a pretty extensive bow collection by the time, hair bow collection by the time Lydia came around, and I got pretty good at braiding hair, anything to get to church on time, which we've never done. One of the things that Hannah learned to do early on was lock us out of our house. So we would go outside and do something, and she'd be inside and running around, and then she would just turn the deadbolt. And we were like, all of our keys are inside, the garage door is closed, what are we gonna do? So we'd have to, I can't remember. I think we had to call a family member to come bring our spare key over a couple times. So then we got these locks where they had a key lock on both sides, and then we take the key out on the inside and we put it up on this windowsill above the door, and that's a terrible fire hazard. But anyway, or she couldn't get out of the home. But she would lock her out. And then the worst thing I ever did as a father was to abandon my child when she was asleep, and drove to church on a Sunday night. You know, you go to Sunday morning church, eat a big lunch, you go lay down, get all the kids to bed, and you're like, all right, nap time. Well, Gay would run to church, and usually she would take Hannah with her because she was working with the children's choir. So I would get up, get Katie dressed, and we'd meet everybody up at church on Sunday night. Well, Katie kept going, we need Hannah's asleep. And I would be like, no, she's already with her mom. I mean, Katie told me like 5 times. I remember that. Loaded her up, drove all the way from Van Buren to downtown Fort Smith where we were going to church. And I put her, Katie, in the nursery, and I went to go check on Hannah, and she wasn't there. And then all of a sudden I got a cold sweat all over me. I was like, okay, she's got to be in the sanctuary. So I run down the hall to the sanctuary where Gay was. I go, where's Hannah? She goes, what do you mean, where's Hannah? She's at home. I was like, I didn't know. I gotta go. I was like, so she was at home by herself. Yeah, she was 3 years old. Yeah, she was 19 at the time, so it probably wasn't that big a deal. No, she was 3. She was 3. And I think I woke her up trying to get in the house, but that was a nerve-wracking experience. Now, one of the neat things about my occupation that I'm in right now is I'm a claims adjuster, but I travel all over the country and work storms. I've worked like 8 hurricanes and a couple of other winter storms, and I've worked in Canada a couple times, and I've worked everywhere from like Spokane, Washington to New York and Maine, Florida, all over the country. Well, when I first got into the business, I was trying to do anything I could to get jobs, and I'm independent, so I work with a bunch of different insurance companies, and there's an opportunity to go to Florida. Well, when I told Gay that there was a chance to go to Florida, she's like, we're in. I said, well, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Tampa or to Fort Lauderdale? And she's like, which one's closer to Disney? I said, Tampa. So anyways, that's where we wound up. We stayed there for about 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And we rented a condo, and Gabe's like, we got to get utilities in our name because we can get annual passes if we're considered residents in Florida. So we're doing that. So they got to go like 30, 40 times in like 6 or 7, 8 months. It was a blast because from our parking lot to Disney parking lot, it was exactly an hour. And since we were homeschooling, it was like, yeah, it was school on the weekends. That was what I always hear. Oh, we're going to go to school. We're going to do school on the weekends. We're going to go to Disney today. So anyways, we did that. Well, while I was there, you remember Superstorm Sandy? That hit New York and New Jersey and the East Coast. Well, I got the call, hey, we need you to come up there. Well, one of the things that's special about Hannah is that she's a lot like me. Well, that's for a parent, especially a mother. If your daughter is like your husband, that might be good attributes that your husband have, but for a daughter, a child, those same attributes, you want to kind of train them differently, train them out of them. Like me, she can't train them out of me. She can wear me down, but she can't train them out of me. But with Hannah, she was like, we're going to get this fixed. Well, there was a little bit of friction and homeschooling, and so Kate goes, we're going to put them in public school. So we're not going to put our kids in public school in Florida. And she's like, no, we're doing it. I said, well, how about this? Why don't I let Hannah go with me to New Jersey? She didn't think I was serious, and then it was for real deal. So Hannah jumped in the car with me, and on Halloween, we drove to Virginia and then spent the night, and then we went up to New Jersey, and she stayed with me for a month, and it was awesome. It was a great experience. We would go shopping, and she would read every label on the stuff. She was like, Dad, you don't need to eat that. We need to eat this. And then she was always wanting me to eat healthy, and she would make meals for me. And the funny thing is, just before Thanksgiving, I flew Katie up, and Katie met us. And so she got on a plane in Tampa by herself and was dropped off and landed in Newark, New Jersey. And so Hannah and I are there trying to pick her up. Well, they apparently changed terminals. And so, you can't go through security to go get your daughter. You have to wait when they get through security. So we're waiting down this area, and somebody came by and said, do you know if this plane is in? The guy goes, yeah, oh, it came to this terminal. And so I said, Hannah, you stay here, and I'm going to go up there. And then finally we caught her. Well, what was cool about going to New Jersey for both of them to be there was we got on a train the next day, and we went into New York City, and we watched the Macy's Day Parade live. We got off the train at like, where was it? Just under Madison Square Garden, I think. Not Madison Square Garden, that's the wrong, that's Boston, sorry. Right under, what's that? 34th Street, somewhere like that. And so we were right at it, and then we went and walked down to Times Square, and you know where the Rockettes, they show the Rockettes canopy? We were right under there watching the thing. There was 1 million people, and what's funny is, I mean, the street is packed with people, or the sidewalks are, and so we're trying to go through, and you got a flow of people going this way and a flow of people going this way, and we're trying to go through. And somebody put their hand on Hannah and was pushing her. She said, "Quit pushing me!" I mean, she just went nuts. I was like, wow. So she got pretty aggressive on that, but we had a good time. And then as the thing dissipated, I said, let's go to Central Park. And as we're walking towards Central Park, there's some guy holding a big placard that said bike rentals. So we went and rented bikes, and they each got a bike. And I'm not in good shape, okay? I'm in a shape, but it's not a good shape, okay? So we're in Central Park, we're riding a bike around, and these two, I'm like, they're like, Dad, I can't go any further, let's stop. And we're going, they're pushing their bikes, and here comes this woman pushing a stroller and is passing them. And I was like, guys, you gotta step it up. So anyways, it was a beautiful day that day. We got to see that. We went to Times Square and shopped, and we got to eat at Guy Fieri's restaurant there in Times Square. And so we had a really good time. And then the next day, I think, or the day after, Hannah was going to fly home, or fly to Tampa. Home was still in Lavaca, and Katie was going to stay with me. Well, for one thing, Hannah is a clothes hound. I mean, she has lots and lots and lots of clothes, and for some reason she took most of those clothes with us or something. In the back of my Suburban, it was like stacked this high. We were trying to get some of those clothes to go back home. We couldn't even send them because it was going to cost extra money. They were like, this weighs like 75 pounds, and we were pulling clothes out, and we're like, we're not going to pay extra. And so anyway, she got to go home, and Katie stayed with me for a month. Now Katie, on the other hand, she likes to eat out like me, and she was like, Dad, let's go here and eat. Dad, let's go here and eat. So but each of my girls have had an extended period with me, except for Sophie.
Well, me and her both have gone with you.
Yes, they've gotten to fly to some places, but I haven't gotten to take Sophie on a truly extended one yet, and we're going to do that at some point, but waiting for the right one. So, you know, I got to see, our life kind of changed when we moved to Lavaca. It was a smaller community and one that we felt comfortable in, and some of our reservations about, you know, not being in public school and then homeschooling kind of changed a little bit. And Hannah and Katie both wanted to play sports in high school, so they started going to school in Lavaca, and got to see them play volleyball, and I think Katie played basketball for a semester, and then they did track, and it was so funny, cross country track or whatever. And it was Hannah, Katie, and I don't know if y'all know Morgan Britton, and then the coach.
We're the only ones on
the only three on the
for the high school.
For the high school track team, and they would pile into this little car, and they would drive to the things, and they were like, it's so awkward getting in there. So they were like, can we quit, Dad? And like, okay, go ahead. So they dropped out of that, but they stuck with volleyball. And then, honestly, Ashton, I don't remember any high school, but that's I don't remember a lot of things that was going on. But I do remember that when y'all were dating, and then y'all weren't dating. I might have accidentally called you Austin a few times, but it wasn't on purpose, and it wasn't to be provocative. I just was, but I won't forget again. I know that for sure, and I'm very happy about where we're going. And I do remember Hannah missing you, and I'm sure you missed her. She's a great girl. And The funniest thing was, so I had this with Hayden, so I kind of knew what was coming when a young man gives me this text that says, out of the blue, hey, can I come over and shoot a gun over at your place and you look at this gun with me? And I was like, he's never asked that before. Have one-on-one time with me, so I'm like, okay. So we go and we're over at my place and we've got that pond, and on the back part, he showed me this new pistol he got. He goes, oh man, I just want to show this to you. And so we wound up spending nearly an hour shooting a little pistol that he brought over. And we'd stop and we'd talk for a minute, and I would be like, so, what's going on? And then I would just kind of be quiet, and he was just like, I think something's wrong with this magazine. It keeps jamming up. And then he would go on to something else, and then we talked a little bit more, and I was like, I'm not going to give you an out. You're gonna have to, I'm not going to open it up. I'm just thinking, I'm going, okay, he's going to have to step up. And then he finally goes, Mr. Harrison, I want to ask Hannah to be my, yeah. He was like, I want to ask for Hannah's hand in marriage. And I was like, well, why? Why do you want to marry my daughter? So, you know, I still didn't let him off the hook. So we talked a little bit more, and I was already sold on him. I think you're a great guy, and I'm really excited. But, you know, we had to, I thought if I'm going to get some time out of him, I'm going to take every bit of time I can out of him. So anyways, it has been a blessing to get to know you. And I know Hannah is super happy and excited. And so we're real excited about getting married tomorrow, and so I just wanted to tell you all I love you, and don't move away. That's the other thing. I'm glad she's marrying a local boy that has local roots. I will say that's a pro for the other side, for Katie's husband as well. I don't think he's going to go anywhere, so I just got to keep that going. So I love you. All right. Hopefully I can make it through tomorrow. All right. Anyways, I love you.
I just got to. When she was 6 months old, well, first of all, my firstborn, they were born like 3 weeks apart. And Hannah, literally, Gay and I, and Alan, and my husband's Alan too, we were in birthing classes together. I mean, it was both our firstborn, so we literally did this whole thing, becoming parents together, and you need to stop. Because
I won't tell any. Okay. I won't. I'll say that for Hayden's wedding.
Anyway, so when was she about 6 months old when y'all went on when you went on a cruise? Yeah. I think she was about 6 months old when we were going to cruise, and of course we had our little 6-month-old too, and we were going to keep you like we split it up. We were keeping you 2 or 3 days, I don't remember. And they said, well, there's just something about Hannah you need to know. She sleeps real well once she gets down, but you've got to do one thing. I said, okay. And she said, all these pacifiers, see all these pacifiers, you got to take one, you got to like literally put one all around her in the crib. And if they're there, if she wakes up, she can grab one and put it, but she just has to be able to grab one at any time. But it was the cutest thing. That's what we did. We would just put those passies all around.
You didn't go anywhere without.
Here's Hannah's passies. It was really sweet. But Hannah, I love you, and you've always been like another daughter to me, and just watching you grow up into such a beautiful young lady. I've literally seen you through every stage, and it's just been fun. And even when I saw you drive up today and get out of the car, I just thought, oh gosh, because in my eyes you're still just little, and you're still, all those memories. But we like you.
The person who has to take on conflict, though. Yeah, because she's not really a conflict person. I mean, unless she's absolutely pushed in the corner, or somebody's pushing her in the back, in a crowded street. We went on a cruise, a family cruise, and we went to Mexico. And you know, you're out there and you're bartering for goods and stuff. We were on the beach, and Gay's like, she eats that stuff up. She was loving it. She was dickering with the guy, and then she would walk away. And then he'd call her back over, and she'd say, no, you got to throw something else in, or no, I can't do that. And he'd be like, you're killing me. I won't be able to feed my kids. And then she walks away, and then he comes back. He goes, okay, I'll do it for that. And so he's packaging it all out. Gay is in the money, and Hannah walks up to him, and she, with tears in her eyes, she's like, I'm so sorry. It was so funny.
They won't let me live that down.
No.
She wanted me to just give him all the money I had.
So she likes prices already on everything, and that's what you think. Thank you guys for coming out. This isn't my party, it's their party, but tomorrow's my party.
Watch that candle.
Yeah, I'm not sure how all those tables are gonna make it without accident, but I'm sure they'll be done. Man, the food was good.
It was very
good choice.
Thank you.
I do have one
Thank
thing.
you.
Okay.
So, I don't know most of you guys, but I got the pleasure of counseling for Hannah and Ashton. Knew Hannah, but never met or seen Ashton, but I've only lived in Lackland for like 3 years. And there's only like 12 people that live there, so I guess I'll see at some point. But it's been a privilege, and to hear their hearts is incredible. To hear them share, I think it's going to work out well. And you kind of saw it even with like, what do y'all want to do? They're like, I don't care, whatever you want to do. What do you like, we had to talk through, like, somebody has to make a decision, but they very much, I just want to make her happy. I just want to make him happy. And I think that's a huge thing, that's a blessing. But also hearing the first day, hearing them share the testimonies, and hearing you guys share, like, it's built on Jesus, every bit of it. Taking a step further and doing covenant marriage, saying not only is it a covenant before God, but we want to go in front of the state and say it's a covenant to where we're not just going to back out at any point in time. That's a huge blessing. What I have is the first counseling session, I made them both write a letter to me of why they wanted to marry each other. I'm not reading them out loud. This is
Color
for you
went.
guys. Of course, you had no clue that that's why you were writing them. So I just wanted to give these to you. Y'all read them tonight when you're separated, but it's pretty cool to see your journey through the process of counseling, and then just to see like why you're getting married. And so this is super cool. So Ashton, that's the one that Hannah wrote for you. And no, if y'all want to post them later, you're all, that's all you. But it really has been a pleasure, and thank y'all for asking me to officiate it. I don't know if everybody else is just busy. I'm okay with that. I'm excited. I hope I don't say vows tomorrow. But I know in the heat of things, or not the heat of things, in the intensity of the moment, you're gonna forget everything. I told you guys the other night, I don't remember a single thing that was said at my wedding. I could tell you a couple people, I didn't even eat because I was just talking to people. So at some point, all this is gonna fade into nothing, but you're still gonna have each other, and you're gonna still have God. And if your relationship is built on Him, the solid rock that never moves, you're good to go, no matter what the world throws at you. And I know we've talked about all this, but know that I'm praying for you. I think you have a room full of people that are praying for you. You have family members that are praying for you. And so never hesitate to reach out for help if you need it. I told you guys I'm always here, and I mean that. But I think God's going to do some cool stuff through you guys, and so I'm excited. So thank y'all.
Good word.